Tutti, benvenuto. Grazie. Ok. I am Angela Catherine Rendazzo Arnona, and I am so happy to be able to tell you the story of my Italian family. My mother was Antonina Lepiccolo Rendazzo, and my father was Antonino Rendazzo, and they lived in Santa Perillo, Sicily, about 45 miles west of Palermo. In those days, marriages were arranged, but my father said, I already know who I want to marry, the little girl who lives down the hill. So he did. They had 2 children there before coming to America about the turn of the century. Once here, the other 11 were born. I think it was because my mother was so pious and went to church every day. Also, there was no television yet. It was like the Waltons. We were in our beds and one of us would say, Sabinariga ma, Sabinariga pa. No answer. And another would say, Sabinariga. Still no answer. Finally would keep it up and then they would answer Sabinariga, Sabinariga, which means good night or God bless you. This is their photo, and there are only 10 children here though. That's because I'm right there. I guess you could say that I was out of sight. Then there was another sister, Teresa, who was born after me, but that's still only 12. That's because they gave one away. Some relative in Italy wanted a child and didn't have one, so somebody must have said something like, let's give her one of ours. So they did. And Josephine grew up in Italy, came back to America as an adult with one child. Later, the rest of her family joined her, as was required by immigration law. It was a big event. The reunion was in all the newspapers with photos and everything. My parents opened a store on the corner of 6th and Lafayette in Gretna, 536 Lafayette, where they tell me the Beacon newspaper was recently. Our house was attached to the store, and in wartime, the hobos would jump the trains and want something to eat, and we would provide for them, but there got to be so many. The crowd was so large, we finally had to discontinue it, sadly. Also, my father was made an offer that he did refuse. It was from the mafia. He told them no, to leave him alone. He knew about them in Sicily, and to leave him alone. And you know they did. I think it must have had something to do with all those prayers that my mother said every day. As for me, I wanted to become a teacher, but my father would not allow me to leave Gretna to continue my education. So I helped manage the store instead until I married my husband, Angelo. And this is the purse that I took with me on our honeymoon. Also, our wedding party was the first to travel on the newly paved 6th Street to church, although it was only for 1 block. I suppose my main, or one of my main accomplishments was giving birth to my daughter. It was the Sunday before Labor Day, which fell on the 4th, the same as it did this year, coincidentally. And I was getting ready to watch the St. Rosalie parade with my family. My father gets up and starts to walk away. And I said, "Where are you going, Pa?" He said, "I'm going to walk in the procession for you," because I was pregnant. And I said, "No, Pa, it's too far." He was 76. He said, no, I want to walk for you," which he did. The next day, Labor Day, appropriately, when I was leaving for the hospital, he said to me, "Goodbye, Angelina. I'll never see you again." Because my ankles were so swollen. And among other problems, they didn't know if I was going to survive. My husband said to Dr. Labrier, "If you can't save my baby, please save my wife." To which he replied, "I'm going to save both of them." Her name is Paulette, and I know she's here tonight, of course, but I haven't seen her yet. She is my only child. Later, my husband, daughter, and I moved to Galveston, which was a nice time in our lives. Our daughter dearly loved it. But we did come back to Gretna, where I became employed by the Archdiocese of New Orleans, and I worked with my sister Rose, who was manager at St. Joseph's Cafeteria. Later, I became manager at Archbishop Blank. I think I want to introduce you to some of my roommates now. Besides my parents, my brother Joe and my sister Mary. Joe, so cute, and Mary, very pretty. They were both very kind, gentle, and compassionate souls. In parts of Romania, I understand that instead of inscriptions on the headstone, there are drawings depicting the person's interests. So I'll just tell you, I loved cooking, and I love the arts, including painting, singing, and dancing. And when I went to dance on the president, my dance card was always filled. I also enjoyed singing and dancing.
Excuse me, sorry. Anybody has a light blue, silver Mercedes parked in the parking lot at the entrance? Light blue.
There's silver.
Silver. Parked right at the entrance, right here. Truck is here.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
It's just not bad, just a tail light and a bumper, but he's sitting out there waiting for you.
Oh, at least he's waiting.
Sorry.
Did you know what it said? St. John High School.
Sorry. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, at least he stopped. That was good. Yeah.
But
So, that was it. I love to dance. I danced at the annual Mardi Gras ball with Gertie when she was captain. I know you met Gertie already. Okay. So after I died, the funeral home wanted a photo of me to see how I wore my hair. And my daughter provided them with a mother-daughter portrait that were taken. After the funeral, when asking for it, she was told that they thought that she wanted it placed inside the casket. So that's where it is now, in there, with me. So my daughter, persistent as she was, still wanted a mother-daughter portrait. So the clothes I'm wearing are the clothes I wore, both in the original portrait and in the one that she had made.
Oh, wow.
She's holding a picture of a much younger me. The same locket I'm wearing and the ring. And even since you're attentive, the rouge. Okay. So, there you have it. the daughter of Italian immigrants and happy to be that. I loved my family and have very fond memories of them. But you know, we're all together again, all 13, plus my parents. Even so, there wasn't much time for individual recognition. So I wish to say that I am so proud and very deeply honored to have been invited to tell my story and will treasure this evening for all eternity. Grazie. Grazie.
Angelina Randazzo Ornona was played by her daughter, Paulette Murphy.
Grazie, Silvia. Arrivederci.